Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to this webinar of Forward College. We are very pleased to see that you all want to become students again, and that you are applying for Forward College, or maybe some of you for your kids. So I'm Boris Valboom, I'm the founder of Forward College. So I was just joking because as we can't hear any background, obviously you come for your kids, but in the end we always get some applications from parents, so beware. So we'll be starting in a few minutes. So maybe we wait until we do the introductions, Céline.
Yeah, maybe we wait 2 more minutes before we start.
Maybe you can tell us where you are from in the chat, so that we get a sense of
What
the
time is
countries that
it?
are yeah what geographies are represented in this webinar.
And do not hesitate, by the way, so about some practical information. The presentation should last, let's say, 40 minutes, hopefully, and so that we have time to answer any of your questions in the end. And you can type them in the chat during the presentation, and then we'll make sure to answer all of them. And so we can see that we have parents from the UK, from Germany, from San Francisco, nice, São Paulo, French, Norway, Spain. So a bit in line with the nationalities represented among our students. We have 40 nationalities at Forward College. Still a lot of European, with 70% Europeans, 30% outside of Europe. It's growing year over year. Within Europe, it's really from everywhere in Europe. A lot of French, Spanish, German, Norwegian, Italian, English, but also a lot of students from Eastern Europe. And we have Zanette here today as an alumni who will also be here to present the three campuses, the student life on the three campuses, and answer any of your questions. We still have a lot of parents joining. And outside of Europe, we have students from the US, Canada, Latin America, Asia. So really from everywhere. And something that is quite unique to Ford College is everyone is an international student. There is no nationality that is overrepresented. And so it makes also the atmosphere among the students here on campus really really strong, and the friendship that are being created at Forward that are quite special.
Yeah. So maybe those who have entered the meeting after the start of our introduction, maybe you could just introduce yourself shortly and tell us where you are from. That would be nice. We are currently at, I think we have 3 continents so far. So let's wait a little bit, maybe to America and Europe.
Great. 1 more minute and we will be able to start. So we were saying that the presentation should last 45 minutes. For the new joiners, if you have any question during the presentation, please feel free to ask them in the chat. We make sure to answer all of them. The presentation is also recorded, so we can send it to you afterwards.
Yeah, for Claudia needs to leave at 6:30, apparently. So
Sorry.
you might, yeah, do not hesitate to send an email, and we'll send you the full recording.
That would be great. Thank you so much. And maybe there's another parents' evening I can join another
Sure,
day.
definitely.
Welcome.
And we also have events in person. If you can join in Paris, we have open days at the end of March on the 28th on a Saturday, and also at the end of May on the 30th. It's always a great moment also to be able to interact in person.
Let's start.
Yeah, should we start? So maybe we'll start with an introduction. So I can start. I'm Céline Boisson. I'm one of the co-founders. I'm in charge of our operations, meaning two main areas. The first one is really everything related to marketing and student recruitment. And the second part is the life on our 3 campuses, so in Lisbon, Paris, and Berlin. And I'm French, but I'm based in Lisbon. Before Forward College, I used to work in the tech industry. I was working for 15 years at Google and YouTube, between Paris, spending a lot of time in London and San Francisco. And the reason why, so I always had a passion for education. And the reason why I decided to join forces with Boris was because I was really seeing the growing gaps between the world of work and how traditional universities prepare students. And I thought at some point I wanted to be part of bringing a solution to the younger generations. And when Boris presented his vision for higher education, I was really convinced that it was really what was needed from what I was seeing as someone working in the tech industry. Boris,
Thanks
to you.
for raising expectations, Celine. So I'm Boris, and so I started my career as a civil servant in the French external auditor of the state. After that, I was an advisor to the Minister of Finance, working around the knowledge economy, how research and education can better contribute to growth and prosperity. After that, I switched to the business sector, working at McKinsey for 5 years in many different industries, as you could expect as a consultant. And then I dedicated myself to education, founding my own consultancy because that's what I had become, a consultant, working so in the field of education exclusively. So I advised many universities across Europe and ministries. And at the same time, I developed the charity I had founded a few years before in the field of equal opportunity, so supporting high achievers from underprivileged backgrounds to succeed, to access and succeed in higher education and get a great job. So I've seen how, as a consultant, as a civil servant, and as a social entrepreneur, how this gap between what the world expects from tomorrow and what universities have to provide grow over time. And obviously, the last years have been rather an acceleration of this gap rather than a catch-up. So I decided to found Forward College 6 years ago, with teaming up with Celine, but also Jeff Sampson from Apple, and a few others. And that's me in a nutshell. So maybe Jeanette, now you can introduce yourself.
Sure. So hi everyone. As Celine mentioned, I'm an alumni at Forward College. I graduated in 2025 from the Bachelor Plus program in Economics and Politics. And now I'm pursuing my master's study at HEC Paris in the Master in Management program. So happy to take questions in the end if you have anything in mind about student life, just life after going to Forward College or anything else.
Thank you so much, Danette. And we are also very happy to welcome Aude. Aude is the parent of one of our first-year students. We thought it would be great also to have to hear from one of our parents. Aude, maybe if you want to quickly introduce yourself.
So first, thank you very much for having me. It's a joy to be here and share our experience as parents. Our daughter Constance is in the first year at Forward. She's in Lisbon right now, having a great time, and so we're very happy with her story and how she's doing right now. So very happy to share our experience throughout obviously the application process as well as following her on her first year. She's studying in the political science and international affairs track, and we are both we are dual French and Swiss citizens. We live in Switzerland, and I work at Nestlé over there.
Thank you so much, Aude. And so Aude will just share a testimonial at the end of the presentation, and she's also here in case you have any direct questions to ask her. She would be pleased to answer them. Thank you so much, Aude, for being there. So Boris, maybe.
Sure. Do not hesitate to ask questions in the chat. We can interrupt ourselves or just we'll wrap up with the questions in the end. Forward College is really about inventing post-AI education. This was the driving idea back in 2019, actually. So we could already see that even though GenAI was not here, that it would come at some point, not as quickly, not in this form, but it was expected. So Forward College is very much about what we call the human intelligences. So not only developing cognitive intelligence, the cognitive intelligence is the part of our brain that deals with information, so basically knowledge and reasoning, and that's 95% of what you do in education. The thing is also something that machines are now very good at. So we need to go beyond this part of our brain, which is the left part of our brain. For those who do have a little bit of a knowledge about how the brain works, we also need to explore the right-hand side part of our brain, more specifically our social intelligence. So how we connect to others, how we build last-longing, trustful relationships, how we communicate, how we work in teams, and so on. Things that you do in your professional lives, and you know how important it is. Meanwhile, education is mostly an individualistic endeavor, and we want to change this. Third, we have the emotional intelligence. So emotional intelligence is about how you obviously understand your own emotions, your emotional literacy, but also your resilience, how you bounce back from challenging moments. And, in times that are a bit more uncertain, a bit more chaotic, these are not like cherries on the cake. These are absolutely crucial skills. And a friend of mine who was in Davos told me that breakout of CEOs there told exclusively about emotional intelligence. So it's how important it is to be able to foster trust within a team in moments that are really challenging. So that's what emotional intelligence is about. And last but not least, you have practical intelligence. Practical intelligence is basically what we do when we don't know and we need to act. So it's about decision making. And most of the time when we make a decision, we don't know all the parameters to make the decision. It's about managing projects. It's about designing things. It's about tech savviness. All these things are extremely important. That you don't learn academically, formally. It's also time management, self-efficacy, but that are absolutely crucial in your career, but also in your personal life. The beauty of this model is that it's not only vital for your career, it's also vital to be fulfilled and to flourish as an individual and as a citizen, I would even say. So that's really what Forward College is about. Broadening the spectrum of education to embrace not only cognitive intelligence, we still need to have smart people, because in order to solve complex problems and also work with AI, you need to be smart, but also extend it to social, emotional, and practical intelligences. So that's really the core of our ethos. And we'll describe how we do that. So there are four key characteristics of Forward College. One is, and that's more the cognitive part, that we have world-class bachelors. As I said, we need to educate smart people. So we do that through two categories of programs. Next slide, please. So the first category are programs that we do in partnership mostly with the London School of Economics in the subject that you see here. So ranging from data science that prepares for AI. So typically, if students want to work into AI, starting with data science is very good, ranging to politics and international relations. And you go through economics and politics and so on. And then you have psychology, but this is a program that we do in partnership with King's College. What does it mean in partnership? It means that the curriculum is designed by either LSE, depending on the program, or King's College London. And both these institutions are in the top 10 in Europe on the topics that we work with them. So it's the curriculum of the LSE or KCL. So the program, the subject guide, so the learning material. The teaching is ours by our faculty that has been vetted by either LSE or King's College on our campuses. So it's not online, it's real teaching in the classroom, and we'll get back into more details a bit later. The exams are organized at the end of each term or each year. by the LSE or King's College, graded by them, and then the degree. The degree at the end is a degree of the University of London, which is the historic overarching institution to which LSE, King's College, and UCL also belong, under the academic direction of either the LSE or KCL. So you have both the University of London and LSE, or University of London and KCL on our students' degree. So that's the first category of programs. These programs are pretty academic, typically British. So they are thorough, they are thick in terms of reading, they are extremely rigorous academically. So these are very good degrees, but quite academic. The second category of programs are our own programs that are accredited by the French government. So each country has its programs, degrees accredited in one country. So for LSE and KCL, obviously it's the UK, but they are recognized throughout the European Union and most developed countries. And French degrees and UK degrees have the same level of recognition internationally. So there you can see we have a program that is more inspired by the American model of liberal arts education, in which students explore among all the subjects that are listed on the left-hand side of the slide during the first year, and then they select a major or two majors and a minor in which they want to specialize in order to build the requirement that will need to apply to more specialized masters in data science and AI, or in politics and international relations, or in economics and so on. Psychology and leadership are only available as minors and not as majors. So if a student wanted to do psychology to become a clinical psychologist, it would be through the King's College degree program and not through the open bachelors. So it's a much more flexible program that allows students to combine different subjects and explore when they are not fully decided. It's also innovative in the way that we try to find a better balance between the academics, the theory, the concepts, the techniques, and the application. We want students to be more hands-on, because we believe that a lot of the challenges that we have actually in real life, in professional life, are related to things that are not intellectual, that are not theoretical, that are related to our ability to work effectively in teams, to meet the deadlines, to get organized, and so on and so forth. So these practical and social skills I was referring to. So we try to mix the academic and this more practical work, and also always deal with this subject through the major challenges of our times. So in economics, in psychology, in management and innovation, in politics, we talk about AI, we talk about climate change, because all these big challenges, they cross-cut all these subjects. So that's really what the Open Bachelors is about. And in the end, they have a bachelor's degree accredited by the French government, so awarded by Forward College. So we have within our programs also two interdisciplinary programs that are quite well known. So the PPE, which is a traditional combination in the UK academic market, so philosophy, politics, and economics. It's a combination that is very strong to, especially at times where paradigms are shifting, so to have a deeper understanding of the roots of our political system, of economics, and when it's evolving, its importance. But also another program that has been developed originally by the University of Amsterdam, and the PPLE, Psychology, Politics, Law, and Economics. And this program allows to have a deep understanding of how humans behave and how we can influence their behavior. So psychology is really about how individual people behave. Economics is how people behave, or politics more in groups, more in the productive sphere, or more in the political sphere. And law, but also economics to some extent, are the ways to regulate behaviors and influence behaviors. So it's closer to political science, but with much more interdisciplinary perspective. And both these degrees lead to typically a master's in terms of around public policies, so to become high-ranking civil servants, or towards the business. Because obviously it's also important that we tell our students, and we'll say to you as well, they will live in a period of time where these big trends that I was referring to, political tensions, geopolitics, and so on, affect the business. When it's business as usual, the business, it's about optimizing, opening new markets, and so on. You don't have to take care about politics. When politics becomes a bit shaky, a bit chaotic, then you need to factor that in. And having the ability to decipher this world is clearly a plus when doing business.
Thank you, Boris. You want me to take this, the teaching
Sure.
part? So the second reasons why studying at Forward College is quite unique is the quality of our teaching, and I will explain you what. It's quite unique at university level to actually study in such a small class setting. So at Forward College, the number of students per class is on average 15 students, which is really something that they value a lot here, having this close relationship with their fellows. This is how we called our teachers, who know them by their name, who know exactly what they are doing well, what they should improve, is something that has a lot of value. They also benefit in this personalized approach of teaching, of regular one-to-one tutoring. Again, with their academic fellow, regularly after each assessment, they will get a one-to-one to better understand why did they get the grade that they get. Again, it's not so much about the grade, but understanding what you should be better, what you should be doing better, understanding where are your strengths also. And this is what they get through those one-to-one tutoring. And finally, they get regular formative assessment to make sure they are well prepared, typically in the case of the University of London degrees, well prepared for the exams that take place at the end of each year. And for our own degree, again, to make sure they get the requirements that they are expected to get in order to graduate. The second specificity of our teaching method, so personalized is the first one. The second specificity is the fact that it's what we call an active learning pedagogy. I don't know to what extent you're familiar with the concept of flipped classroom. But basically, in a normal, in most high school, you go to class, you listen to your teacher, and then you come back home and you do your homework. Here at Forward College is flipped, meaning that students have to come prepared to class. So their fellows will give them an assignment that they will have to work on in small groups with their peers, so that when they come to class, they can really be active in the seminar, ask questions. They will do exercise. They will debate a topic. So again, making sure that we don't have just students passively taking notes in a big lecture hall, but really students who are here to engage with the content that our fellows are teaching them. At Forward College, there's also a lot of teamwork because we believe that this is actually often how the world of work consists of. You often have to work in group. So this is something they have to do a lot, and we teach them how to do it. And lots also of projects within the different curricula. In terms of the results, this teaching method, highly personalized with this active learning pedagogy, has proven to work. Some elements that show that. First, the pass rate, which is really high. So our students, and despite the fact that specifically and the level and the requirements of our curriculum are very demanding. LSE, KCM, for instance, are demanding universities, and our students perform really well because they get this level of support. They also have really good grades at the exams, which is important if they want to apply to master's degree afterwards. And we were also very proud this year to receive the Best Student-Teacher Interaction Award from a study portal. And again, based on our students' votes. So really showing that this personalized relationship is something that not only they love, but works in terms of succeeding at the exam.
So the leadership program. So basically, we've talked here mostly about the academic program. So you understand that whatever the type of program the students select, they will all have the same personalized, active pedagogy, more or less academic, depending on whether it's a UL or else. And then they will decide to add to that academic foundations a layer of leadership. And by leadership, we refer mostly to these social, emotional, and practical skills that I was talking about just at the start of our presentation. So we have mainly two components of the leadership curriculum at Forward College. So this is something that you get if you select a University of London's program in the Bachelor's Plus or the double Bachelor's programs, right? So because you need to do the full thing to get the LSE or King's College degree. And then you need to add something that is specific to Forward College to do the leadership part. When it's the PP, PPLE, or the Open Bachelor, so the Forward program, it's embedded. So you don't need to add it as an extra layer. So as I was saying, this leadership is about two components. The first one is project-based learning. Why projects? Because we believe that again, in a world that becomes more and more fast changing, you need to have an adventurous mindset. You need to have an entrepreneur mindset. You need to be able to seize opportunities, to view change as signs of opportunities. That's something. It's not only a skill. It's a mindset. And to develop that, to nurture this mindset, it's through projects. And the way we do it is we offer students the opportunity to do projects all along their curriculum. So in the first year, they focus on projects with social or environmental impact. So if they typically do 2 terms of one or 2 terms of project-based learning, which means that it's a workshop, weekly workshops. It's like a class, and they have so they decide what they want to work on. So it's their decision, and we believe that nurturing their own intentionality is extremely important at a time where many things are possible. So we really want them to focus on what they want to make, what kind of difference they want to make. Then they are grouped in teams based on these shared aspirations, and they need to go from an idea, an aspiration, to a concrete impact. So we're not asking them to design something. We want them to have a real impact, because that's when we land on real stuff that things start to be more challenging and sometimes a bit disappointing. But they need to go through this in order to become adults. So obviously they are paired in teams. So as I was saying, it means that as a German students in psychology, you might be paired with a Spanish student in data science, an American student in politics, and a French student typically in economics. But you share the idea that you want to work on facilitating communication of autist kids, for instance. That's what a project that one of our students group selected last year. So that's how it works. And you go through the design thinking approach and coached by the fellow that teaches them. And it's a step-by-step process that will lead them to the impact. Of course, it never goes out as planned. We know that it's real life, but that's what matters. They need to adjust, they need to adapt, they need to pivot, they need to face, kind of they had a great solution, but there was no problem. All the types of problems that we face, and so they fail sometimes, and that's fine, because we learn much more through failure than through success. But the good thing is that they are supported. So when they fail, they understand why they failed, and the next time they do a project, they will be much better, and they do progress. So in the second year, it's a digital project, and in the third year, it's a consulting project. So that's really a big journey, and it's for open bachelors, approximately 20% of their time. So there is a mic that is open. So if you could make sure that all mics are muted, that would be nice. So that's the first part, project-based learning. That's a project but I won't go into the detail. If you want to, if you have questions, I can illustrate a bit more the great project that our students have been able to achieve. The second component is personal development. So that's where the project-based learning is more about social skills because it's about teamwork, and it's not easy. And Jeanette can testify. It comes with challenges, also practical skills. So that's really these both set of skills that you develop. Personal development is more about social skills and emotional skills. So in year one, they focus on social intelligence, typically with the skills that you see here. They start the year with the MBTI. So the MBTI, for those, I guess some of you know, the Myers-Briggs test, it allows you to classify you in terms of preferences, whether you are more extrovert or introvert, more a feeler or a thinker, etc., etc. But the point is not so much to learn about yourself, but to know as an extrovert how you communicate with an introvert in a team. How, as someone who is more rational, do you communicate well with someone who is more emotional? And that's something we always have to face in teams. And that's the beauty of teams, that there is a variety of talents and preferences. But how you deal with that, we try to give them a grid to help them be more aware of where they are, but also where are the others, and adjust their communication style to these differences. And the second year is more about emotional intelligence. So it's a lot about, now that they know each other a bit more, emotional literacy. They talk a lot and they work on techniques to develop their motivation and their courage. Resilience is very important. So how typically they can reframe, that's what we call cognitive reframing, how they can tell the story of a challenging moment where they fell down in a way that represents this experience as a learning opportunity. And there are great workshops that really are eye-opening and help them be more resilient. But that's something you need to practice and practice and practice. We know that these skills don't develop just because you read about them. So that's why they practice, and we ask them to practice not only in the classroom, but outside the classroom. Typically, they share kitchens. And obviously, when you share a kitchen, it's a mess in the beginning, right? Because you need to align on what does clean mean, for instance, what a good smell is at breakfast, and so on and so forth. So that's the opportunity to develop your intercultural but also social skills. So that's the leadership part of our program that comes on top of the academic bachelors of the University of London, or that are embedded within the open bachelors. Yeah, so that's what I was saying. You can see, but that's on the website. So we may not dwell too long on the details of how this is organized, and do not hesitate anyway to ask questions to our admissions team. They will answer if you have more specific questions.
Then we'll have, thank you so much, Boris. We'll have Danette taking you, so our alumni, taking you through the campus experience in the 3 different countries.
Yeah,
Danette?
thank you, Celine. So as you may know, the Forward College program has this one unique aspect, is which we as students all study in a different country, therefore different city in each of the years. So we all start as first-year students in Lisbon, and you can see a photo of one of the learning centers in the top right corner, located in Lisbon. A learning center is where we all have our classes, and frequently where we also do our group work. And then we all move to Paris together for a second year of university, irrespective of what program you're doing. If you're a second-year student, you're in Paris. And also in our last year, we move again, and then we go to Berlin, to Germany. And again, you can see the photos of where our learning centers are located. We normally also all live together. This is especially common in the first year. So in each of the cities, Forward College has partnership with student residencies. So you have guaranteed accommodation in each of the cities. It's not obligatory to take it, but I also always, if students ask me, advise them to do so, because it's really nice to be able to go home with your friends and go to class with your friends, and it also adds to the experience. And then let's talk about Lisbon, so the first year. On the next slide, you can see one of the 2 learning centers, so where we have our classes. This is located in Soriano, and they all are about a 10-minute walk apart from each other. They are super central to Lisbon, so 5-minute walk to the river. It's a really nice area, which I also, anytime I go back to Lisbon, check it out again for the sake of the memories. You have a room where you can have hangouts, but of course the classrooms as well. And they also facilitate group work, so everything is usually arranged in not necessarily in a typical lecture hall type of arrangement, but as you can see here, for a photo of the second learning center is where I had most of my classes when I was studying in Lisbon. And also, for example, the meditation room, which is a particularity of the Florist Learning Center. So this is a quiet room, which gets very popular during exam season. So we call it the meditation room, but really it is a room to rest, to read, to sort of disconnect a little bit. And it's a strictly no digital appliances room. And then you also have a patio where you have a lot of meetings with the professors, let's say a tutorial, so one-on-one session with them usually takes place there because Lisbon has an amazing weather all year long. So we try to make the most of having this patio in the learning center. And then in the next slide, you already saw a bit of the co-working space. So this is a space dedicated only to Forward College students. It's the next door. It's right next door to the student residence located in Chior, so where most of the students live in the first year. This is where I studied for my exam season as well, and it's incredibly convenient. It's located right next to where you live. This is also where we have our sort of student events, or the clubs can also have their events here. It's open from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. every day, so really you can access it almost any time. And then a photo of one of the cohorts celebrating the birthdays, which is a little habit we have at Forward College. So every month, if your birthday falls any day of that month, we are celebrating you as well. So this was one of the months where we were where we were celebrating the student's birthday of that month. And on to the next photo, you can see the photo of the student residence, so the super modern residence. I have really no complaints to make. Everyone has their own bathrooms, and depending on what you choose, you may have your own kitchen or you share it with others. But I think it's a really good way to start your living alone and independently journey. And then student life in Lisbon, I think it's possibly the most popular city out of the three among the students. There are so many things you can do, and it's a very international friendly city. So for example, you can see a photo of us surfing in the upper left corner, but also doing some yoga on the beach. I mean, you can get a train, and 45 minutes from the residency you can really just hop on a surfboard. Forward College also has its own surf club, but also running club, book club, like anything you can imagine. The students are always encouraged to create their own clubs as well. So it really is, I think, a very nice city to start your student journey in. And then, well, I'm biased for the second city, which is Paris, which was my favorite city when I was a Forward College student, and therefore chose to return for my master's as well. So you can see in the background a photo of the main building where you have our classes. This is part of the Cité Universitaire, which is located in the south of Paris. And this is basically a big complex of a lot of buildings where a lot of international students live, and where also the Forward College students live if they choose to stay on campus, and where we also have our classes. So this year is very special because you can really walk to class, unlike in the other years. And Paris, on the next photo, we can see that we have the same setup in the classroom. So there's always catered to being able to do some group work. This is a room where we do most of our independent studying or studying in the groups. And in terms of amenities, we can use everything, of course, that's located at Cité Universitaire. So there's a big library which you can access for free if you're a resident. And then also there are a lot of sports you can do. So I think and every year there are over 60 sports that get sported and that gets posted, and you can just show up and do any sort of training that you want for a very favorable fee. So when I lived there, I did volleyball 3 times a week, which was amazing. But really, I think there was even scuba diving, so you can try out a lot of different things. So in terms of student life, I think this is sort of the most traditional university experience that you'll have over the course of the 3 years. But there's also a swimming pool downstairs, and you can join the choir, and there is also a musical group as well. So there's a theater in the main building. There's a lot of things that really you can do. And in terms of student residences, of course, you can live on campus if you choose. Students usually are located in different buildings, but you can really choose whether you would like to have your own kitchen, you would like to have your own bathroom. I also lived on campus when I was in Paris, and I really recommend every student to do so. I think living at City Université is a very unique experience, especially if you're a non-French speaker. This adds a lot to your student life. And and speaking of student life in Paris, there are a lot of things, of course, you can do. It's a bit different than Lisbon. I think the cultural events sort of take centerpiece. There are a lot of museums you can visit for free. I mean, Musée d'Orsay, Louvre, and I think living at Cité Universitaire means that you're close to everything. So I had a really amazing year, and I think it's frequently the second favorite city among students. And then we got to the last city, which is Berlin. So you can see a photo of the Learning Center. So this is part of the CIC, which is a big co-working space. Other universities and startups, companies also are located in this building next to Forward College. So this is also a great way to meet other people and potentially find an internship, which many of my classmates did actually. You can see a photo of the restaurant here, which we can access in the ground floor. And this is the space where most of our classes take place. So you can see in the background already some of the classrooms, but this is also a study space we can access. The Learning Center is open 24/7. So it really is amazing for the last year, which I think is all about getting more focused about the next steps and thinking about maybe masters or jobs afterwards. So it's a really good environment to sort of be able to interact with potential employers, but also being able to focus on planning. And in terms of accommodation, there you have a lot of options here in Berlin. You can choose to go with residences similar to what you've seen in Lisbon, but there's also a special opportunity for Berlin specifically. Forward College has this partnership with this housing agency who have some apartments in Berlin, and then you can choose to share it with two other students. That is what I did, and this is a photo of basically it could be my own room. So it really looked like what I lived in when I was in Berlin, and it was a really amazing experience to be able to live with friends, I think. And of course, everything is always located within the city, which is again something I think that's very important to mention. So all the learning centers and all the residences, they are always within the city. So when you move to Paris, you really are moving to Paris, and when you move to Berlin, you really are moving to Berlin. So you really get the experience of living in these three cities. And in terms of student life, I mean, Berlin has a lot to offer. I'd dare to say it's probably the most international city out of all the three. And really, you probably hear more English in the streets than German. So there are a lot of things you can do for sure. I mean, you see some of the events that we took part in. I think a lot of the events center around the community at the CIC, so we get to meet a lot of other students and interact with the companies. And you can see some of the events on the right hand side on the photos there. But Berlin is a very friendly city. You can bike everywhere, and there are a lot of parks, and I think it's a very easygoing city in general. So maybe I shouldn't say it's the third favorite city, because I think depending on which student you ask, it might be the number one city. So I think what really is great that each city has its own unique charm, and everyone finds their favorites among the three.
Thank you so much, Zanette. And something to keep in mind is when students move from one city to the other, they get the full support of our campus teams to make sure it's as smooth as possible. And again, accommodation is guaranteed in each of the countries and cities. We will accelerate a little bit, and Boris we are already answering a few questions in the chat. Basically, in terms of where do our students go after Forward, you can see here it's almost half of students who decide to start professional roles after graduation, and the other half decide to pursue a master's degree. And so far, we're really proud and happy with the results of our students, both in terms of the companies they have started jobs in. You can see big companies, international organizations, embassies, tech companies, but also startups. And in terms of masters, Most of our students have been admitted in the top 15 universities or business schools in Europe. You can see a few logos here. But really the combination of a rigorous academic degree plus studying in 3 countries, plus having worked on the projects during 3 years, really help our students' application, whether it's for jobs or masters, to stand out. And these explain the great results. You can see here a few quotes of some of our supporters, whether they are in our academic council, like Paul Leblanc, who is a senior advisor of the Harvard University Graduate School of Education, and he's been here since the beginning, supporting Forward College, making sure that we keep our mission. And you can also see here Jean-Claude Legrand from the Global Head of Human Resources of L'Oréal, again, strong supporter of Forward College, here since the beginning. L'Oréal will be one of our partners when we launch our masters next year. So we also have a lot of academics supporting Forward College, and you can see on the right some great results also of recruiters who share feedback about our interns. So very, very happy also about that. Just a quick word about AI, which is a topic that is more and more raised by our students. As Boris was saying, right from the beginning, Forward College was thought in terms of being a post-AI and education, universities that prepare to a post-AI world. So it's really anchored in the way we have built Forward College, but maybe you can just say a few words, Boris, about that.
Yeah, it's a big topic, but basically we try to be clear about the frontier where AI is not allowed. So we are very strict and very rigorous in how we invigilate our assessments. This is just basic, but many universities are a bit complacent about that. And we have had dropouts from business schools who said, we are leaving because the assessments are a joke and everybody's cheating. And that's really a big problem. So we don't want to see that happen. So we are very strict on that. But when AI is possible, it's not only authorized, it's supposed, it's presupposed, and it's encouraged. So they have access to an AI hub where they have all the major LLMs from Gemini to Claude, with the exception, obviously, as you can understand, of Grok. But apart from that, they have access to most of them. And we teach them how to use AI because the good thing is that in a flipped classroom environment where you have to learn your lesson by yourself, you need to become autonomous. AI and our AI tutors, we have built AI tutors, are a great addition to actually help you learn by yourself. So it's really a great tool. And then you have the classroom to interact with humans. And we give them a dashboard where the dashboard tells them how they've used AI, how well they've used AI. This dynamic dashboard gives them tips to better use AI. So it's really a reflective practice that we try to develop among our students, and I'm very happy that we are very upfront and open about AI, supportive about its use, but extremely rigorous when it comes to assessments.
Thank you. Very quickly on the entry requirements, some of you may have your students already admitted to Forward College, some maybe at an earlier stage of the admissions process. Basically, you can see here the academic requirements. So it's an equivalent for students coming from the International Baccalaureate. You need to get a 35 minimum. There are some math requirements for some of our degrees. Same for the English proficiency. And as part of their online application, they will be expected to write a reflective essay based on extracurricular activities. And this will be the basis for the interview. So if students are invited to an interview, this is really what will again be discussed here. Just to give you an idea, we receive approximately, at least based on last year data, we received 2,500 applications. We selected 1 in 8 based on those different requirements, and we really want to interview each of the students who meet those requirements because we strongly believe in building a community that is very strong and building a strong sense of friendship among our students. we are about to end this webinar, and I will be pleased to listen to Aude, who will share her testimonial as a parent. Just here you can see two important dates in case you can join us in Paris. It's going to be on a Saturday, all afternoon. It's an amazing opportunity to come with your child and meet their future fellows, students, whether it's our students or prospective students, will be with them in the first year. Visit our facilities in the Cité Internationale in Paris and ask any questions they may have. Aude, would you be happy to share a few words about your experience as a parent of a Forward College student?
Yes, of course, and thanks again for the opportunity. And it's really nice to listen to the webcast again. Reminds me of where we were a year ago with our daughter. So Constance studied in the Swiss public school system. So she was in high school and she started to explore where she wanted to study, and she really wanted to go internationally, see the world. That was the whole idea. And she was exploring international affairs, political science, also maybe law, maybe humanities. So we had all of these, deep discussions with her in terms of what she wanted to do, where she wanted to go. We took her to visit a few universities in Switzerland and abroad. And one day she came to me and she said, Mom, I found exactly what I want to do. This is where I want to study. And she came with a website of Forward College. And I, as a parent, I was a bit, I would say, skeptical at first, because of course I had never heard about Forward. And of course, as parents, you know that the brand of the university matters, no? So I said, Constance, what is this thing? Where did you find it? No, I found it online. It's amazing. It's what I want to do. So we looked into it, and then I immediately understood about the partnership with LSE, and that sort of already helped make the case. And then, we went deep into the curriculum, and she said, it's exactly what I want to study. This is exactly the classes I want to take. So I said, okay, why not? And then it turns out that we were actually going on holidays to Lisbon 3 weeks later. So we said, okay, let's explore. And we visited the campus and met Céline, actually, in Lisbon. It was in the Easter holidays. And actually, when we visited the campus and we understood everything around the philosophy, the ambition to build the college, the methodology, the classes, really going deep into the topics, the whole notion of working on emotional intelligence. We know how much mental health is important as a topic for students these days. And then the progressive, we learned also about the use of AI, etc. My husband and I really understood after a few minutes that was the place for her. And for her, it was clear from day one. Anyway, when she went out of the visit, she said, this is my plan A, and there is no plan B. So we said, okay. So what we did is we said, okay, then you're going to apply when you get into the last year of high school. You apply as early as you can to Forward. So she applied on October 1st, on the first day, in order to ensure that in case this wasn't going to work, which was not the idea, she would have an opportunity to find something else, because there was Forward and nothing else. And so we helped her, of course, prepare a bit the application. So she did 95% of it, and she was so happy when she was admitted, because that was really the dream. And I have to say, now 6 months into the program, I think my husband and I are very, very happy, because we do feel this was the place for her. I think she's very happy about the life with, meeting all the students from all over the world. That's what she wanted, really this experience of the 3 campuses, the international part of it. Academically, she's very, very happy in terms of the depth of the classes, the methodology, the small classes, the tutoring, the learning cells, so the group work. I think the regular assessments are really helping her a lot to prepare for the exams. I think it is building confidence, and the tutoring as well. And she chose the Bachelor's Plus, so she has the leadership part on top of the academic part, which we think is a very nice addition. So we've seen her really grow a lot in maturity, independence, confidence. So she's very happy. And as parents, if you see your child thriving, having found her way and being very happy, that's the best you can ask, no? So for us, we're just very, very pleased and can only recommend it to other parents.
Thank you very much, Aude. Thank you so much. Indeed, I remember meeting you two with Constance, so it's great to have her now. And of course, if any of you have questions for Aude, do not hesitate. Boris has answered a couple of questions. So, in which court is Aude's daughter? Maybe Aude, you want to take this one?
She's in political science and international affairs. I don't remember the acronym.
Exactly. So
PIR, the University of
PII,
London.
thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank
So
you.
it's not PPE or PPLE. It's
the LSE program.
Yeah, it's the
Yes.
LSE program of the. Thank you very much.
So we have a few questions around the size of the goal. So 85% of our courses are taught by our permanent staff. This is very important. I mean, the quality of the teaching is the quality of the teachers. So we invest a lot. We usually get approximately between 50 and 100 applications per job offer. We do have current offers. They should be on our website for a full-time for two full-time positions in Lisbon. So mostly our students are taught by full-time fellows. These fellows, for the academic subjects, they have a PhD. They have been associated with great universities, mostly in Europe. And then there is a question around the class hours. So you can't have it all. So you can't have many hours of class and very few students per class. My daughter is at Bocconi because, as you can imagine, she didn't want to go to that school. And there are 120 students per class. So I did a computation. If we had the same number of students per class, we could offer approximately 70 hours a week for students with the same number of teachers. But obviously, that's not our choice. So our students have 10 hours for the single bachelor, 10 hours. So it's the typical UK system, around 10 hours, a bit more, plus the tutorial. They have a weekly tutorial in general per week, plus 2 hours of formative assessment. So that's 12 hours if they take a single bachelor's. It's more around 14, 15 hours for a bachelor's plus and 15, 16 hours for a double bachelor's. But the thing that you have to take into account is that for each class, a seminar is 2 hours, they have to work at least 6 hours to get prepared. So this really reflects, basically, we expect our students to work around 35, 40 hours a week for a bachelor's, a single bachelor's, and up to 50, 55 for a double bachelor's. Obviously, some are super quick and can do that in 45 hours. We have a few students who accumulate a number of projects that is beyond imagination, but that's the average. There's a new question. When the students, how do view the partnership with London University? So the students, usually they say that they have a degree by the LSE. LSE considers that it's exactly like their degrees because they do all the University of London is really a kind of a box, and it's a historic role. And by the way, LSE is thinking about doing the graduation of our students itself. So these are discussions that we're having with them, because that's something that they want to move towards, so that it's more simple. It's a bit difficult to understand for parents, but basically our students are regarded by the LSE like their own students. So the same thresholds apply to our students when they graduate. If they want to apply to masters at the LSE, and the same threshold apply as to their own students. So they really treat them as their own students. And I must say that I think most of our students talk more about the LSE on their LinkedIn than about the University of London. So it's a historic thing, but it's and we, especially in the British system, but not only, we have a very strong recognition of these degrees. I mean, you see, Jeanette is at HEC. HEC is extremely selective when it comes to business and management. We have quite a few students at the LSE, at UCL. 75% of our students who apply to a master's program are admitted into one of the top 15 university in Europe or business school in Europe.
Yes, we will share the presentation. So you will receive everything, the presentation and the recording.
Y nuestro español es un poco flaco.
Thank you very much. So it's 6 p.m. unless there is a last question, or please, and of course we can always follow up by email. Huge thanks to Aude for joining tonight. I think it's always so great and so much powerful to hear from our own students and other parents than from us. So thank you very much. And
thank you, Tor, for your love.
thank you,
Okay.
thank you.
Have a good
Bye.
evening. Bye-bye.